Hello there. Allow me to pose you a question. Instant coffee, delicious or disgusting? Now, regardless of what your answer is, instant coffee as a category has evolved quite a bit recently. Previously, instant coffee was kind of known just to be sort of bad. We didn't put very good coffee into it, we didn't care very much about it, and it was for the most part just an effective way to have coffee really quickly without the need for any tools. However, instant coffee has become pretty good actually in some cases. We figured out that by putting better coffee into the instant, turns out we get a better result, and additionally, we have figured out some different forms for instant coffee. So today I have selected 6 of some of the more interesting forms that instant coffee has taken nowadays. We're gonna taste them, we're gonna rank them, and we're gonna figure out which one is the best. Well, the one that I like the most. That's what we're deciding today. So without further ado, let me get our 6 interesting instant coffees. All right, some of these you may recognize, some of them may be new to you. Now, before we get into tasting these, which is gonna be very fun, let me talk about the kind of financial breakdown of each of these. First off, we're gonna look at arguably the most interesting one. Now this right here is a coffee paste. This is from a company called No Normal Coffee, and it costs $18 per tube. This is a blend of Colombian Arabica coffees, and notably, this is lightly sweetened with beet sugar. This is the only one out of everything that is sweetened. That is just how it is. We cannot change it, so just something to note here. This tube can make 20 cups of coffee, and at that price point, it comes out to about 90 cents per cup. I am very excited to squeeze out my coffee paste soon. Next on the docket here, we have Jot's Original Coffee. This is a liquid concentrate. It costs $26 per bottle. I don't have any information on what kind of coffees we are using here. However, at 14 cups of coffee per bottle, it comes out to about $1.80 per cup. Next up, we have Good Old Faithful. This is what I would argue a more traditional instant coffee is. Cafe Bustelo is based out of New York. However, the founder of the company has a lot of Cuban origins and roots, and he took a lot of inspiration in making this right here. This is a very prolific and popular coffee, has a lot of history to it, and it comes out to about $7 per 7-ounce jar. This is made with Latin American coffees, and with approximately 40 servings per jar, it comes out to a whopping 17 cents per cup. That is a deal right there. Next up, we have Verve's Sea Bright Instant Coffee. Verve is a pretty popular and well-known specialty coffee brand. This is one of their mainstay blends. It is a rotating blend, but currently it is El Salvador and Guatemala offerings. It comes out to about $17 per box, which with 6 servings means each cup is approximately $2.83. Next, we have another powdered instant coffee here. I don't think I'm gonna do this name any justice here. Medaglia d'Oro? I say nervously, please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. This is a more traditional Italian style instant coffee. What coffees are in it? We don't know. However, it is about $5 per jar, and with approximately 16 servings per jar, it comes out to about 31 cents per cup. And lastly, we have Cometeer. Now, you may recognize these. These are pretty trendy and also pretty popular. These are little like frozen coffee capsules that you add hot water to melt down into your cup of coffee. Cometeer is a little bit weird to price out because they offer all sorts of different coffees and roasters, but additionally they operate much more on a subscription model than they do a single purchase. So I'm gonna price this out based on the one-time purchase. This is their houseplant coffee. A one-time purchase for 32 cups is $84. And that comes out to approximately $2.60 per serving. And that is about on par for Cometeer across most of their offerings. Okay, this is our wild assortment of instant coffee that only requires the coffee product, water, and a spoon. So I'm gonna go heat up my water, and I'll be right back. I want to give a huge thank you to Wild Grain for sponsoring today's video. All right, get excited everyone, because I'm about to show you some delicious breads, pastries, and pastas. For the next minute, I'd like you to inhale and imagine the smell of freshly made chocolate chip cookies coming out of the oven. Now, Wild Grain is the first ever Bake from Frozen subscription box for everything from croissants to fettuccine. Wild Grain partners with small bakers and pasta makers across the country to deliver incredible baked goods right to your doorstep. And as one of my favorite parts about them, every item bakes mix in 25 minutes or less, so you can enjoy fresh out of the oven goods even when you're in a rush. You can build your own box each time without the risk of getting bored, as Wild Grain is constantly adding new seasonal and limited time goods. And to put a little extra good back into the world, for every membership, Wild Grain donates 4 meals to the Greater Boston Food Bank. So, if you're ready to get your bread on, Wild Grain is offering all of you a very special offer with $30 off your first box and free croissants for life when you visit wildgrain.com/MDC and use code MDC. Yeah, that's right. Free croissants in every box when you visit the top link in the description and use code MDC. Okay, so my plan today is to cup all of these. Now this presented a somewhat interesting challenge that I've already taken care of, don't worry. However, I had to do a good amount of math to make sure the recommended amount of instant coffee was going into each of these bowls, because we are kind of stuck with a 210 ml capacity of water here, so my brain hurts a little bit. Just be glad you weren't around for it. I think this might be satisfying. Wasn't that satisfying? I just find that all liquid concentrates always look like soy sauce to begin with. Now I will say that I have not spoiled myself on the paste yet. I purchased this with the intent of using it for this video, and I have not tried it yet, so I did spear open the top earlier, and you are immediately greeted by this delightful looking sludge. I have to try some. Interesting. I am both amused and befuddled. Here, let me squeeze my paste. Oh, this is delightful. I love a strange coffee product so much. I had to pre-melt this Cometeer pod so we could get the right amount. Finally, the last one. Okie dokie. Let me adjust the camera and let's add some water. We've got the paste. Perhaps this is a reference that not everyone will get, but I recently had a rewatch of season 1 of Severance, and this coffee paste we have here reminds me of that goo that was paint that Irving sees like cascading over the walls of his office. That again may be a bit niche, but that is really the vibe I'm getting here. All right, and we're gonna give this like a good long mix. There is a lot to dissolve here. All right, all of our coffee has been poured and made. All of these cupping bowls underneath are marked with which coffees they actually are. I'm gonna give this a big, thorough mix. We're gonna wait for them to cool down to drinking temperature, and then we'll test and rank. This is like plain bumper cars with the world's hottest liquid. All right, our coffees have cooled down a bit. We're about to start tasting. I'm tasting all of these blind, and we're going to be ranking them on a 1 to 10 scale. Now, the two things we are primarily going to be looking for are, of course, going to be first and foremost flavor and enjoyability. I'm going to be looking for a balance between sweetness, acidity, and bitterness. I'm going to be looking for pleasantness in the cup. And the question is, would I drink this again? Now, the second thing we're going to be looking for is also the tactile and the body of the coffee. All of these are made in a slightly unconventional way, and so with that, often you find the body of these coffees being a bit lacking. But does that have to be true? I don't know. So we're going to be looking specifically at that as well. 1 to 10, let's get started. First things first. I'm so excited. Oh, also, I'm so sorry everyone. I should have given you a slurp warning. The rest of this video, I will be cupping and slurping these coffees, so if slurping is a bother, please leave now. that was your one slurp warning. Initially, my first thought is that the body on this one is pretty dang weak. This is pretty tea-like and water-like in consistency. The flavor, though, doesn't really taste like anything, but in that way, it doesn't taste bad. I feel like this is like a 4. Like, it's like remarkably unexceptional, but not offensive in any way, which frankly, Doesn't feel like a bad start. It's got a little bit of that like soy sauce savoriness to it. The body is definitely an improvement on the first one. Medium body, pretty slick, pretty smooth, pleasant to drink. It's got that kind of like soy sauce flavor that makes it a little tangy. Makes me want to like pucker my face a little bit. Kind of hard. I feel like we like won in one area and lost in the other. I'm gonna give this a 5. I think this is an overall improvement on our last cup. Number 3. Oh, interesting. It started one way and then it went in a very different direction at the end there. The body is about the same as this one, kind of a medium zone. It's got a little bit more grain and texture to it that I think is maybe slightly less pleasant. Almost got like a little bit of a chemically kind of note to it. I kind of give it a 3. I don't know if I enjoyed that one very much. Moving right along. Oh, I know which one this one is. If you'll remember, there is only one of these that has sweetener added to it. That is definitely this one. I'm like 90% sure we've got some paste in here. Now, I will say that I'm not crazy for like beet sugar as the sweetener for this coffee. Like I just don't know if the flavor melds very well. The tactile is decently nice. It's definitely got a little bit more like oomph. I give it, I don't know. I don't like the sweetness, but I think if the sweetness was taken away, I would like it a lot more. As it stands, 4. Oh, interesting. That might be my favorite so far. There's something a little fruity going on over here. Tactile, pretty smooth, nice medium to heavy body in there. Feels pretty slick on the palate, which is nice. No real like grain or grit. And flavor-wise, it's got a little bit more acidity than anything else has so far in like a very nice way, in a way that expresses as fruit and not just a face-puckering lemon. I like 7. I don't know, 7. I would drink some more of that. I would. Okay, we're at the end. Oh. Oh, things are happening. I don't know if I like that one very much. It is very heavy in the texture and the body. It's like it sits on the palate. I can still taste it now. This coffee has a sort of like very slightly chemically quality to it. Like it very much tastes like an instant coffee. If you are someone that has had a lot of instant coffees, it's like a distinct category unto itself that this very much falls into. I don't like giving things low points, but I think 2 would not drink more. Having tasted everything, we do have one coffee that has significantly stood out over the rest, with 2 points more than anything else has. So I'm gonna set this to the side. Let's find out what everything else is, and then we'll discover which one was the best. Okie dokie. Starting on this side, we had a coffee that was rather tea-like and pretty inoffensive in flavor, with a score of 4. Ooh. This coffee right here is the Medaglia d'Oro, which again, I am so sorry for any mispronunciation. That seems about on par with what I was expecting. Moving on to cup number 2, with a score of 5. This was a slight improvement on the first one. I feel like I'm in cup tasters right now. All right, and with a score of 5, we have our Jot liquid concentrate. In the middle here, we had a score of 3. We moved back a little bit with this one. Oh, womp womp. This one in the center here was Cafe Bustelo, which seems about on par with what I was expecting. It's dark, pretty harsh on the palate, but it does get the job done. Moving over to this cup, we had a score of 4, so a slight improvement perhaps. And I think I know, yes, I was correct. This one right here was our coffee paste from No Normal Coffee. Now, one thing I do want to note about this is like a slight caveat is that in what little marketing I've seen from this company, they seem to really talk about this in the context of like camping or travel, because this doesn't need to be refrigerated. You can kind of just like do with the paste what you will. And I can imagine having this on a backpacking or camping trip with perhaps some like powdered creamer or something would be very pleasant. I think there's a use case for this that works really well. I think just perhaps in like its black coffee form, it's not my favorite. And then we're here with a score of 2, which was the lowest of the scores. Oh, sad day. We had the Verve coffee. Now, if I'm remembering, this one was just real punchy on the palate. There's a lot going on in there. I don't know if this was my favorite, which I feel sad to say, but the tasting was the tasting. This means that our final cup, with a score of 7, indeed going to be the Cometeer. Now, I think where this one really shone was in the tactile, which is pretty standard for Cometeer with me. I think Cometeer has a very specific like tactile feel in the cup that is slightly different than filtered coffee, but I do find it pretty tasty in a lineup of instant coffees. With that being said, that was my tasting and ranking of unconventional instant coffees. Now, if you have any you know of that I might not have covered today, my definition of instant coffee here is a coffee product that only needs water and then to be stirred. So leave them in the comments if you have others. But I think that was fun. I hope this was helpful for someone, and as usual, my name is Morgan. You can find me here on YouTube once a week plus shorts, or TikTok and Instagram almost every single day. If you want interesting recipes, tips, tricks, all of the above, you can also go to morgandrinkscoffee.com. This was a blast. I have no real coffee to walk off with, be it I have just a bunch of very full cupping bowls, so I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.